welcome to the AI Radioroom.
Ben, very nice to meet you, man.
Very good to meet you. So, how are you finding Austin so far?
It's really fantastic. Have you been here before? Did you come to Last Consensus?
Never. No, this is my first time, but I'm absolutely loving it.
So I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and people have been telling me my whole life that Austin is just like Nashville. And I came down here for Consensus for the first time last year, and have been loving it ever since. I keep coming down here. I don't know if you guys know this, but this venue that you booked here is smack dab in the center of 6th Street.
Oh, really?
So that's this is like Party Central here in Austin. So we got like Jackalope and Aquarium and all the 6th Street bars going down here. And we also have this crypto and AI side event going on at the same time. So very cool clash right here. I hope everyone has a good time here. So
have you been out already?
Oh yeah. Well, I've been coming here for a long time. So like I was saying, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and it's like a carbon copy. Like Austin's a little bit bigger, but it looks a lot of the same. Like a lot of the layout is the same. I got there's a great history between Tennessee and Texas. So I love, I'm not from Texas, but I love coming down here, and it's every single year Consensus is a fantastic conference, partly because of how cool Austin is and how great the builder environment is here.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you here, Ben.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We'll get straight into it. So maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about Talus.
Yeah, so my name is Ben Frigon. I'm the COO of Talus. I started off in crypto around DeFi summer, around the same time that a lot of other people got involved. And I was really drawn to decentralization. I feel like a lot of people say that, but I think it's super interesting how blockchain technology enables new forms of social coordination that weren't possible before. And so got very into entrepreneurship and very into ideating these new blockchain projects, explored a lot of different ecosystems. And I worked on a move-based project for a little bit out of college. So I was the president of my school's blockchain club.
Nice.
And then I co-designed and co-taught the first ever credit-bearing course on NFTs anywhere. That was at Brown University in spring of 2022. So I co-designed that class at the pico top of the bull market, and then taught it right when everything was red candle straight down. So I don't know if I've been along that long, but definitely been in the industry for what I feel like I'm a bit of a veteran now. So I after college, I worked for a move project for a little bit, was a VC for a little bit, and really wanted to go back to building product and being an operator. And I met Mike, our founder and CEO, around the end of last year. And I have a background, a little bit of a background building in the Move space. I was really excited by Move the language and Move VMs and all of its potentials as these alt VMs for better performance, better end user experience.
Sure.
And so I knew that he wanted to build something with Move, and so we started ideating on a lot of different AI use cases, like what is cool in Web2 AI, but what really isn't possible now with existing infrastructure, and then what can blockchain technology enable. And so that brought us to this smart agent use case, right, where generative AI is very cool, AI that can generate data for you. But one key unlock that we don't see in Web2 AI is the ability for AI to transfer value, the ability for AI to handle money. And we thought this was a perfect use case for blockchains because of the composability it solves for finance, right? With all assets living on a common data substrate, you just get much better composability. One thing that we talk about all the time at Talus is that AI can't use USD. It's going to have to use USDC.
Sure.
So we felt like this is the perfect use case to focus on. We have a very narrow scope, and we're focused on just creating the best user experience possible that enables developers to build smart agents and everyday people to use smart agents.
Yeah. I think you've picked a very exciting time to get back into the game.
Certainly.
So maybe could you tell us what drew you to work at that intersection specifically, the intersection between AI and Web3, and why do you believe that might have potential?
Yeah, so I really believe that AI and crypto are the two most incredible technologies in the world today. And combining them, like I said, opens up a lot of really common sense unlocks
Exactly.
for new tech products.
Yep.
Like value transfer is one,
Yep.
right? You could theoretically create a smart agent using like the Stripe API or something like that. There's really no such thing as like a banking API that would be functional for that purpose. But even if you did that, it would be a singular smart agent. It wouldn't be able to interact with any other agents. You would have very long settlement times. So that's the first thing is we feel that for smart agents, it's really a use case that, especially for building consumer products, it really does make sense for this to be on chain. And this is something that only Web3, a use case for AI that only Web3 can enable, the smart agent use case. Second of all, like I said, I think AI and crypto are two incredibly powerful technologies. But AI, like much of Web2, is particularly susceptible to centralization. And we can see that in thinking about the inputs of AI, right? The kind of model you're running, the data that you use to train the model, and then the compute used to train that model. If you think about who wins out in all of those categories in Web2, who has all of the compute, who has all of the money to subsidize very high capex early on and buy a bunch of H100s and FPGAs and all of this really expensive compute, it's the Web2 giants that have all the money.
Certainly
right?
not the user.
Yeah, certainly not an everyday person. You know, I don't know if you have a bunch of H100s lying around your house. You'd be very rich right now if you did. But yeah, and then the data, right? Who has all of the data in Web2? Obviously, the Web2 giants, right? The incentive early on in Web2 was actually a completely open data web, right? Because you wanted to optimize for search.
Sure.
So that's another thing. One of people's biggest complaints about Web2 is there's no way to take ownership of your own data, right?
Exactly.
And we're going to need infrastructure to do that, to have digital ownership in Web2 or in the future of AI, as AI is hungry for more and more data.
Yep.
And then finally, what kind of model you're running. So you see in Web2, a lot of really valuable companies that are building fantastic products view AI as proprietary technology, right? They have closed source models that you have no idea how it's being trained, what the weights are. It's trained completely on proprietary data. I mean, some of the products I'm talking about, and they're fantastic products. But I think that the world is going to be a much better place if people use open models trained on open web data.
Yep.
And we're more free to collaborate, and we're more transparent about the products that we're building.
Sure. Thank you. So next one's more of a kind of personal question, right? So it's an opinion-based one. So in your personal opinion, is the current buzz around on-chain AI overhyped or underhyped?
Completely underhyped. I can understand why people would think that, because crypto and AI is a narrative, and Web3 is all about narratives, right?
Yes.
So this is the narrative getting all the attention. Like people are saying, is there, has too much focus turned toward this one specific narrative? I don't think it has, because we're just scratching the surface of creating products that are really performant, that in unlocking all of these new use cases for AI that weren't possible using Web2 Rails. Value transfer, of course, is the most immediate of those. I do think also, though, that when a narrative is hot, it's very easy to kind of lose the thread, right? Because you can just get away with more. So that's why at Talus, we are hyper focused on keeping a very narrow scope, right? What is the use case we want to enable at first? Autonomous value transfer using on-chain smart agents. We certainly hope to expand to a plethora of other use cases, but right now that is the very narrow scope of a first iteration that we're focused on. So that's how we think about that. Like, yes, I think this is going to be this narrative is hot for good reason. There's a lot of potential there, but as a team, we just try to stay very focused and make sure that we're building something that we know we can execute on.
Lovely. So now, what have you found to be your favorite ways to use AI just in your personal everyday sort of life?
There are a ton of wrappers and APIs that are cool to use, even with closed source models. It's a great tool. So nobody uses AI, I feel like, to write stuff, or like a lot of stuff that it's going to get better at. There's a lot of there's a lot of generative outputs that AI today creates that, like, you can tell it's done by AI. But as a personal assistant, I think that's very helpful. Using some of these models just to ideate, and like having somebody smart, somebody way smarter than you to talk to, So yeah, I think it's a great tool to be creative. I also love showing non-technical people in my life, like my parents and uncles and aunts and grandparents,
Yeah.
how to use some of these models, because
Uh-huh.
it'll really knock their socks off. And I think that it's cool to onboard as many people as possible. So
Yes.
yeah,
Lovely, lovely. So why might the average user want to adopt a decentralized model over existing solutions like we've discussed, like your LLMs?
that's a great question. So I can explain the value of open source models, and say that uh, I think the natural trend, even in Web2, is toward open models.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of the open source models of today are catching up with ChatGPT. ChatGPT, OpenAI is really killing it on the context window, but on a lot of these other measurements, like Llama and a lot of these open source models are doing very well.
Yep.
I think the natural trend, even in Web2, is that open source models trained on open data will be more valuable than closed source models trained on proprietary data.
Sure.
That's just pretty simple scaling, pretty simple economics, right? You just have a much larger network effect around open models.
Mm-hmm.
But to your original questions, why would users care? They probably won't, and I think that is an answer unto itself for something that Talus is very focused on.
Mm-hmm.
We want to create consumer AI products that have the best UX possible.
Sure.
I believe a lot in decentralization, and I think there will be a myriad of benefits to humanity to making sure that AI is decentralized. But first and foremost, I just want to create great products and have a great DevX for building smart agents on Talus, and have end users have a really seamless experience using smart agents that, everyday people I'm talking about. So just being focused on UX, I think, is the number one way to make sure that users pick the open source route.
Sure. Okay, well, we'd like to thank you for your time, Ben, and your insights. I think we've had a very productive conversation. So what are you looking forward to over the next few days?
I think just meeting other great builders like people at this event, and just being in such a great city
Yeah.
where we can discuss the future. Is really great.
Yes. Thanks again.
Awesome, man. Thank you.